Yo, you already know what time it is. It's Cigars and Coffee, baby, Cigars and Coffee. And we're here for another P&E edition, professional and entrepreneur. And we have another special guest joining me right now, Mr. T. Gray, Terrence Gray to be exact, but T. Gray, I appreciate you for joining me today, brother.
Man, it's an honor to be here with you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Excellent, and I appreciate you calling me T. Gray, because Terrence is when I'm in trouble.
What's that? Only my mama and the laws call me.
And wifey.
And wifey.
Especially wifey.
Well, Terrence, I say again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, sir.
It means a lot.
Thanks for having me.
It really means a lot.
Thanks for having me.
So, let's get started.
Yes, sir.
What part of New York are you from, Terrence?
Man, I grew up in the projects in the South Bronx.
Projects in the South Bronx.
South Bronx. About
Boogie Down Bronx is what they call it, huh?
Is what they call it.
Okay,
Six
okay.
blocks from the original Yankee Stadium.
Wow.
I grew up a bleacher creature.
Wow. What'd you say? Tickets was no money. We was just.
Are you calling me old?
No. I'm saying with bleacher creature, I'm thinking you getting in there for the free.
No, bleacher creatures I think was $1.50.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling my age now.
So I see you getting into that cigar.
Yes, sir.
What you got going over there, man?
Well, first of all,
what cutter you use?
I prefer the punch cut. Yeah.
Great minds think
There you go.
alike.
That's what I'm
Boom,
talking about.
boom.
Yeah.
It's
I'm a
nothing
little
like
bit of
punch.
a prissy boy.
Yeah.
I don't like a lot of loose tobacco in my mouth. So
A guillotine cut will definitely give you that. A V cut will give you that. So yeah, I agree with you on the punch.
And this is an LLC cigar.
LLC. Shout out to Candace Ford.
Absolutely. What an amazing lady and an amazing entrepreneur. And this is a really good stick.
It really is.
Created.
It really is. It really is. So Boogie Down Bronx. Tell me a little bit about that journey growing up. How was that?
So growing up in the projects is an interesting experience.
Okay.
It's an environment where you're surrounded by a lot of people who have basically given up and surrendered to the idea that this is where their life is going to be.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily the most positive or progressive environment. And it wasn't until I was much older and I tapped into the arena of personal growth and development and mentorship that I learned that poor is more of a state of mind than anything. But I was fortunate that somehow, some way, by the grace of God, that my mindset was always different.
Wow. Even at that time.
Even at that time.
Wow. So you graduate from high school. Where does that take you?
So I have a strong mother and father that made sure that I was academically excellent.
Academically excellent.
Academically excellent. I grew up in a house where I had to finish my homework. I had to study. I had to get good grades. I had to earn my play out time side. Yeah,
there you go. There you go.
When I was younger, we used to play outside. We didn't have video games. Even though I do remember when Atari came out. But then again, I'm telling you how old I am. But my mom made sure that I was academically excellent. So I actually went to one of the top high schools in the country, which is the Bronx High School of Science. You have to test into that school, even though it's a public school. You
have to test into it.
Right. So, and there I did very well as also.
Okay.
And because of that, I had a partial scholarship lined up for one of the top Ivy League schools, and a scholarship lined up for one of the top military academies.
Wow.
But as happens often in our community, my family broke up. I'm the oldest of four. I'm 17. My dad leaves. At that time, my mom was working 2 days a week per diem as a registered nurse. and now she had to transition back into full-time work. The last time she worked full-time was before I was born.
Before you were born.
So that was kind of a tough situation. So I couldn't go to school.
Gotcha.
It really wasn't an option for me at that time. What I decided to do was to go get a marketable skill, because Bronx High School of Science is a very academic place.
Gotcha.
So I was strong in English, communication.
Right.
I could balance a chemical equation.
Okay.
But there weren't really any jobs paying you to do that.
Nah.
So I decided to learn to type. I said, if I learn to type, when I do go to school, I can turn it into a little hustle and type term papers and stuff like that for other people. So I went to secretarial school.
Wow.
And it was definitely a transformative experience.
I bet.
5 guys, 500 girls. My sisters call this the metamorphosis. That's when I went from being a nerd to something worse. But I'm also very competitive. So this is back in the days when they had home ec.
Okay.
And the girls learned to type, and the boys had shop class. Right? So you put me in an environment where all these girls already know how to type.
Yeah.
And I'm in there like, okay, how does this thing work?
2 fingers.
Right. So I'm like, but I'm not going to be at the bottom of anything. So what I would do, I got my hands on a typewriter, and at home I would literally take a magazine, any magazine, and I would type the magazine. And so in very short period of time, I was the top of the class. I graduated 70 words a minute. I think my max time ever was over 100 words a minute. And that came to serve me well, because when you go to a trade school like that, Darren, they typically have a model where they want to place people.
Gotcha.
And you have
If
companies.
you do so much,
Exactly.
I want to place you at. Okay, well, you'll be better suited over here.
Right.
Place you like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you have companies in the building that are like, okay, well, listen, when you have your top graduates, send them to us. So I got my first job as an executive assistant to the senior vice president and media director of one of the top 5 ad agencies in the world, which happened to be in the same building.
Win for you, huh?
Win for me, right? But it was weird, because he said, he's an Italian guy. He's like, listen, I've never had a male assistant before.
Right.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Right. So this is really a pivotal point in my professional and entrepreneurial career.
Okay.
Because one thing that I remember one of my teachers in trade school saying was, she said, always be curious. And another thing she said was, when they're talking about you with regard to whether or not you're going to get a promotion, you won't be in the room. So make it easy for them to see you in the role that they're thinking about promoting you into. Okay? So I'll tell you how those 2 things came together. Number one.
You're dropping a lot of gems right
Bro,
now. Very early.
And
Very early.
As a person now who hires people
Yeah,
and builds
yeah.
teams, I look for these qualities in people, and you know what? You're right, bro. These qualities are missing in 90% of people, maybe higher.
And 90% of companies now.
And 90% of companies.
If we're being honest.
If we're being honest, right? So, because I could type fast and I could type accurately, I would finish my work quickly, which left time for me to go into Frank's office and say, I have some questions about this. Here's what you asked me for. It's accurate, it's clean, but can I ask you about this? This proposal is different than the proposal you made to this other company. Why? And we would have conversations like that. Okay? Now I'm gonna switch to my other point for a second.
Okay.
So in the media department, we didn't have many outside guests.
Okay.
So there was no real dress code. So it's me and 5 or 6 other assistants, all ladies.
Right.
They came in jeans and sweatshirts all the time.
You couldn't
they
do
didn't
that.
have to dress up.
You couldn't do it.
Right? I wore my one blue suit that I own every single day.
I'm just changing up the shirt and the tie.
Every time I got paid,
Really?
I would go and I would buy 2 white shirts and a tie. And so because I was always changing my tie, nobody really knew that I was wearing the same suit every day.
Facts.
And there was only one day a week that I would run out the door exactly 5 o'clock. And that was Friday. Because I had to get home in time to get that suit in the cleaners.
For
so I
next
could
week.
get it out on Saturday because the dry cleaners is
So
closed
dry
on
cleaners
Sunday.
closed on Sunday.
So I could wear it again on
And
Monday.
you gotta have it before Monday morning to go to work.
Exactly, right? And bro, I wore the crotch out. I remember they patched the crotch. Then they were patching the patch on the crotch. And
I'm sure the underarms at some point.
bro, my friends in the projects would make fun of me.
Wow.
They were like, man, you wear that suit every day. You probably take it off and it still stands up by itself in the closet, right? And there was one day I didn't wear the suit because it was like, before a holiday you'll have half days. I wore jeans that one day. And I walked by the assistant to the president of the company.
Okay.
And she stopped. She goes, sir. She thought I was a messenger. I turned around. She goes, oh, Terrence, it's you.
Didn't even recognize you.
Didn't recognize me, right? But here's what happened.
I was about to ask.
Here's what happened.
What did that teach you?
3 months into the job, call me in his office. And Frank says, Terrence, I don't think this is working out. I'm like, holy cow, I'm getting fired? I'm like, I know I work fast, I work clean, I'm interested,
Right.
I dress the part. And he continues the sentence. He says, you are far too sharp for us to keep you in an administrative capacity. So I already talked to the president. We have 2 options for you. Option A, I know you have the situation at home,
Right.
but if you're able to go to school, we'll put the full force of our agency behind you and help you get into whatever school you want to get into. If that's not an option, here's choice B. You come to work early every day and we'll have a different executive teach you about marketing, advertising, and media right here. So I chose choice B.
I was about to say, I know you chose B.
And I got to work 45 minutes to an hour early every day.
Wow.
And I got my lesson. And in 5 years with that agency, I got promoted 4 times. And the first time I got promoted, those girls hated me.
I bet. So, what age were you when all of this transpired?
This is 20 years old.
So was it the work ethic from your high school that kind of built that, as well as your parents' upbringing, where hey, you got to finish your work before you go outside.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I had to read a lot of books.
Yeah,
And I had to develop a spectacular work ethic. My dad, I used to think he was really hard on me. I remember one time, 5th grade, we had to do penmanship. You had to write the words
Cursive.
5 times.
Yeah, all that.
And I remember sitting there doing my homework, and my dad comes home from work, and he looks over my shoulder, and he was an operating room tech.
Okay.
And he was around doctors, and you know how doctors write.
Yeah.
And so he looked over my shoulder, and he goes, no, that's not good. Tears the paper out of my notebook and crumples it up, throws it away. And I literally sat there and started crying.
Wow.
But I will say that I am grateful to him because he is a major part of the reason why when I produce a product, a work product, it is right. And it's not just right from a content standpoint, it also looks good.
Professionalism. Wow. That's awesome. So you take plan B. You take the blue pill.
I took the blue pill.
Where does that take you on your journey as an entrepreneur, or as
well?
At
that time this was corporate, right?
Yeah.
So I earned their respect, and I even earned their vested interest in my success. I'll give you an example.
Gotcha.
So mind you, I'm typing 1 billion words a minute, right? And I remember I wasn't making much money as an executive assistant.
Okay.
And because my dad left, as anybody who's the oldest knows, you now are filling in.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So my money is going towards school clothes, backpacks,
for your siblings
and all that stuff,
yeah.
whatever, right? So I decided I need more money. So I started interviewing for some other jobs.
Okay.
And I got offered a job as a word processor at a law firm. Right? They basically had a pool of people typing legal briefs. And for that, you needed to be fast, you needed to be accurate. So they offered me a job.
All the qualities that you possess.
Right.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And so it's $10,000 a year more than I was making. So I remember it very clearly. I go into Frank's office and I quit. I respectfully resigned. I thank him for the opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. I said, but I need to make more money, so I'm going to go and do this.
How did Frank take that?
Frank says, shut the door.
I love Frank.
I shut the door, and he says, and you said I could, you gave me permission to speak freely.
You good.
Because I need to give you a direct quote.
What's the quote Frank gave you?
Are you out of your fucking mind? He goes, there's no way in hell, after what I've invested in you, that you leave here to go backwards into another administrative capacity. So no, you don't fucking quit. Let me go talk to Joe and see if I can get you some more money, and get the fuck out of my office. So he saved me from myself. Because here's what happened next. So he calls me back in, okay, I got you more money. I got you 5. You don't quit. And he says, the next time you come in my office and you quit, you better be telling me that you're going to another agency for a bigger role, or that you're going to a publication or one of the media stations to sell or whatever.
Something greater.
Something greater. So that he kept me from making a short-term decision.
Instant gratification.
For instant gratification and thinking more into the future. And so the next time I quit because I got a sales job, which is also a story. Right, because remember, I don't have a degree.
Wow.
Right, and there was a major tennis publication in the building.
Okay.
And they used to call on us, and when they had an open job, I was invited to interview, and I was given the job. Right, they offered me the job, and I said the traditional, let me have a day to think it over. Well, the next day when they came to work, their company had been sold. They didn't know it was happening, so that job was gone.
You had to go back to Frank.
No, I didn't have to go. I didn't quit. Remember, I was still thinking about it.
Okay.
So dodged a bullet there.
Gotcha.
But I was encouraged because I'm like, whoa, shoot, I just got the first sales job I ever interviewed for. Let me go interview for more sales jobs.
Gotcha.
So I literally interviewed at every possible publication, from Better Homes and Gardens to the Wall Street Journal, etc.
Really?
And the Wall Street Journal, they really wanted to hire me, but they have a very strict, you got to have a degree rule.
Gotcha.
So we couldn't get past that. But one of the places that I had a lunch introduction to was Newsweek magazine. And my rep, Kathy, she used to always tell me, you should be in sales. And I wanted to be in sales looking at Kathy, because Kathy always came in with the fur coats and whatever, and all the media reps.
She looked the part.
Yeah, they're playing golf all the time. I'm like,
going to lunches, order. Hey, order whatever you want. It's on the company card.
Bro, if I work 8 hours, if I work 28 hours, I'm still gonna make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But these guys were earning commissions, right? So she introduces me to her regional director. His name was Lee, and I remember what he said. He said, "I really like you. I would love to hire you, but we don't hire junior reps. We don't hire junior reps. So be encouraged, keep at it when you get some seniority." Well, he calls me a few months later and says, "Hey, I convinced these guys." He says, "I convinced these guys to allow me to do an experiment and hire 2 junior reps for the price of 1 senior rep, because I just had a senior rep leave. Do you want to interview for it?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." 60 candidates. 13 interviews, including a psychological evaluation, because somebody had gotten through their process and faked them out. Talked a good game, but then couldn't sell shit, right? So this process is grueling, but they hired me, and they hired another guy by the name of Ari. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Right? My base salary just tripled. Triple. Right? So now I'm hired with these guys. I remember first day, Ari and I, we're celebrating like we made it. We're Newsweek magazine. I mean, this is prestige, right?
Yeah.
right?
Still to this day.
So Lee calls us into the conference room. He goes, boys, come in here. And he says, here's the deal, though. In 6 months, I'm only keeping one of you.
Competitive kid. The competitive juices.
Bro, I'm made out of competition. I looked at Ari. I didn't say these words, but if you could read my thought bubble,
Pack
my
your
thought
bags.
bubble was, bye. You're out of here,
Pack
right?
your bags.
So, and the territory they gave us. So what they did is they went to all the senior reps and said, give us the bottom of your list, the accounts that you don't even want to call on anymore. So that was the list that they gave us. They split that list in two, and I got so much business simply because I showed up and I took them seriously. You know, obviously that senior rep had stopped calling on them, didn't take them seriously. They were low-hanging fruit account.
You were showing them love.
And I'm showing them love,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm taking whatever I can get. I tripled that territory in 6 months.
Art didn't stand a chance.
Ari was out of there,
Art didn't stand a chance.
right? And so that was 3 years. And there were just so many things I learned because I tapped into mentors,
Okay.
right? There were mentors at every one of these jobs, people who were more experienced than me. And one of the things I learned is to show up and take your clients seriously. So one of the agencies I used to call on, now mind you, I'm in New York.
Okay. Okay.
One of the agencies I used to call on was in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And without offending anybody who might be watching who's from Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is the armpit of America. Nobody wants to go to Pittsburgh.
Unless you're playing for the Steelers.
And I grew up a Giants fan, right? And I grew up a Giants fan. So, this agency, nobody would come and see them, so they threw a party for their reps. They invited everybody to come, right? So I go. U.S. News and World Report didn't come. Time Magazine didn't come. Newsweek Magazine came in the form of me. And I make friends with the EVP of New Business Development for that agency. And after I left, I did one simple thing. Every Monday in the Wall Street Journal at that time, they would list all the accounts that were under agency review, where they would be looking for a new agency, or their existing agency would have to re-pitch their business.
Gotcha.
So I would send it to him every Monday. Here are the accounts that are under review. Here are the accounts that are under review. And one of the accounts I sent them, he didn't know it was under review. They pitched it, and they actually won the business. It's a major corporation. If you go through an airport, you see their ads everywhere, right? So they won a big account. Here's where that served me. Where it served me was, he became the first VP of sales at Lycos.com, which was one of the original search engines.
We talking about search engines like Google search engine.
Right. Google didn't exist at the time. It was Yahoo, Alta Vista, Lycos, and America Online. AOL was kind of a search engine.
Okay.
Right. But so now he's going to build his team. Who's he going to build his team with? All his favorite reps.
The people who've been showing them love.
So he calls me up. I remember we had our little interview at a pizza shop on 14th Street.
Formality.
Square.
Formality.
Right, formality. and basically what he said was, hey, look, have you ever heard of Lycos? And I was like what?
Lycos.
Right? He says, have you heard of Yahoo? I said, yeah. He goes, well, we're going to compete with them and kick their ass. Now, I'm already in a competitive role, right? Newsweek versus U.S. News and Time. I'm like, hey, I'm down for that fight.
Wow.
He goes, I can't offer you more money. I can make it a lateral move. I said, let's do it. So I was employee number 26. So my first year, and I think at this time, I'm 25 or 6.
Okay.
I made $250,000. The majority of that in commissions, right?
Wow.
And then I showed a penchant for doing big deals. So by my third year, that guy had gone, they made me the VP of sales. And my third year, between salary, commissions, and stock options, at my W-2 was $1.4 million.
Safe to say you in sales.
That was it.
That
right?
was it.
Now we screwed that company up. We tried to follow Yahoo.
I was about to say, I hadn't heard of it.
Right, we followed it step for step, and they were going down the wrong road. We followed them right down a dark alley, but they were better capitalized, so they were able to just start over. We sold the company, and that was the beginning of the end.
Okay.
We laid off 1,500 people in 9 months. And after that last one, I packaged myself out. I went into my colleague who was the senior vice president of HR, and at this time I'm the senior vice president of business and corporate development. And at the end of that day, he goes, "Brutal day, huh?" I said, "Yeah, but it's not over." He goes, "What, you have more?" I'm like, "No, you've got one more." And he's like, who did I miss? I'm like, me. I do not want to be the captain of the Titanic. I'm out. Let's cut my deal.
What do you say? I've seen the movie. Don't want to be that guy playing the music at the end.
I don't want to be that guy. And I negotiated a very sweet exit deal for myself.
Awesome.
So sweet that as I was leaving his office, he said, "Terrence." So I turned around and said, "What?" He goes, "You forgot one thing." I said, "What?" He threw his wallet at me. He goes, "You probably want this too." Right? So I decided at that point, D, I didn't want to be part of somebody's machine for another 5 years because even though that job was a lot of fun and I got a lot of great exposure and a lot of great experience, I also ended up getting divorced, right? Because I was traveling 75, 80% of the time. I legitimately never knew when I was coming back. And we became roommates.
Gotcha.
So
Ships passing.
Ships passing. So I said, you know what? I need to be an entrepreneur. And that's where my entrepreneurial journey started.
So you figure out, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. What lane do you pick? How do you come up with, okay, what in my entrepreneur, the spider tingly senses, where does that take you?
I think the first thing I did was, the first mistake I ever made as an entrepreneur was I started 3 companies at the same time. And
yeah, that would probably be a mistake.
So I had 3 companies I started. I'm in the process of getting divorced.
Wow.
I'm dealing with depression. And for about a year and a half, I was nothing. I was not me. I definitely wasn't the guy you see sitting before you today, and I wasn't the guy I was before that either.
Wow.
So I think what failed those companies, if I can be honest, is I just didn't show up. I didn't show up. It was a struggle. But all things serve their purpose. After that, I got into network marketing.
Got you.
My first 3 companies, total failure.
Yeah, I hear you.
In that process, I met the lady who's now my wife.
It's trainer.
Yes.
It's trainer great.
And this Houston girl lasted 1 winter on the East Coast.
Can't do it.
Can do it.
Can't do it.
As a matter of fact, at the end of that winter, she said, "Listen, man, I'm going back to Houston. You can come if you want to." It wasn't even like a conversation. It wasn't, "What do you think?"
Right.
Bro, I'm not doing this. Right? So I moved to Houston.
Okay.
And that's where I met my mentor, who, that was 2004. He's still my mentor to this day. We're going to get him on your podcast.
Wow.
He's extremely well known. His name is Holton Buggs.
HB.
And literally, he had me within 18 months making more in a month than most people make in a year. I went to the top of that company. I was the number 7 money earner in that company.
Okay.
In 2010, we went to separate ways, and the company I went to, I applied everything that he taught me, went to the top of that company too. So that was really good. That didn't work out for long. It lasted about 5 years.
Okay.
I ended up going back and starting some traditional companies that did well. So he and I teamed up again back in 2018, still together to this day. I run all his companies plus my own.
When you talk about mentorship,
Yes, sir.
and you talk about network marketing, because that's where we met.
Yes, sir.
Our boomerang. There is probably no better mentor that you can have in that realm of entrepreneurship. Is that correct?
That's correct. He's the GOAT. He's an industry
He is the
icon.
GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
When you say the name, or you just say coffee, oh yeah, the coffee man, the man who made all this money in the coffee industry. That's him.
That is him.
So we talk about entrepreneurship. What are some qualities that one must possess to be a successful entrepreneur?
That is a phenomenal question, brother.
Okay.
Because I think what happens is people get caught up in the glamour of being able to say they're an entrepreneur, but they lose all the key elements in order to be a successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
So the list is long. It starts with an impeccable work ethic.
Gotta have that.
The reality is, if you want to be an entrepreneur because you didn't work hard when you were working for someone else, you're going to fail as an entrepreneur. Right?
Because the work is probably, it's more work.
It's more work.
And it's on you.
And it's on you.
Yeah.
And you don't have anybody standing on your neck. You don't have anybody holding your paycheck hostage.
Right.
You have to be self-driven and self-directed.
Got you.
And many people fail when it comes to that. They just simply don't show up for themselves and their own company.
Wow.
So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two is you have to be resourceful.
Okay.
You have to be. You don't have an entire company of people to do all the different things.
Right.
So at least in the early stages, you have to be resourceful enough. So if you need something written, you need to write it. And you need to learn how to use ChatGPT to write the first draft for you
what
so
it
that
is.
you can edit it. Right? If you need something created, you may need to create it yourself. So you may need to watch a few YouTube videos on how to use Canva. If you need a website, you may need to build it yourself. Version 1. You can always build your own first version and then have some professionals come in and redo it once you're profitable. But you can put up a sign. You just have to be willing.
Sip some coffee on that.
Too many people. Okay, bro. Look, I just turned 56. Too many people, 40 plus. I'm gonna say,
Okay.
have this mentality of they're afraid of technology. I can't learn anything new. And I'm like, no, you can't, because you will die. You will not succeed.
Not in today's world.
Not in today's world, not when there's so much technology that can serve you if you learn how to be the master of that technology.
Wow. So those are just a couple examples that one must obtain to be a successful entrepreneur.
Here's another. You have to conquer the number one thing that causes businesses to fail.
What is that, Mr. Terry?
Obscurity. People simply don't know that you're there. And people simply don't know what you do. You see, when you get the word out, and you gotta let everybody know, your friends, your relatives, you need to move in circles. There's an event here in Houston called First Thursdays. So you need to go to events like that, networking mixers, etc., and start to make friends, rub shoulders, let people know what you do, and make a very strong first impression.
Gotcha.
Inspire people with confidence that you're someone that they can recommend without ruining their reputation. And that's going to help you to get some of those breaks that you're looking for.
You know, you say that, and we met in network marketing, and then we met again when I host Houston Cigar Week. And you say that first impression. Now, you didn't know me personally while we were in business, but I introduced myself, and you're like, "Hey, man, you're looking sharp. You got this going on. How can I help?" And like you say, it's going in rooms, presenting yourself the right way, and having that conversation of what you're doing.
You came in with all the right stuff. Number one, you took that hosting assignment very seriously. Right? And I went to some other events where people didn't take it as seriously as you did.
Wow.
But you took that hosting assignment, hosting opportunity, as seriously as if the president or the king was going to be showing up. You came in dressed to kill, looking good, smelling good, standing strong, back straight, chest out, shaking hands, looking people in the eye. You walked in like you owned the place. And so even before I realized that we had a common connection, I'm like, I like this dude. His energy's good. So it's a little thing. you'd be surprised how many people miss it.
Wow.
How many people miss showing up and showing up the right way.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, that means so much coming from you. And it's to the point where I call you my mentor. Whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you stuck with me, dude.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
Look, that means a lot. That means a lot.
Sir.
That means a lot. So when we talk about T. Gray as a whole, you're an entrepreneur, you have different businesses. What do you have cooking nowadays?
Well, I'm going to say something that's very interesting.
Okay.
I am in the process of a rebuild.
Okay.
And if you will have me back, that's what we should talk about. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and if you're going to develop any type of success, you are going to have to rebuild and reinvent several times. And this is probably my third, maybe fourth rebuild. And I embrace it. But many people, when you know, because in business you're going to have setbacks. You say the average multi-millionaire or successful business owner has had 8 failures. Most people curl up in a ball and go into a fetal position after one.
Right.
But not me. I eat reinvention for breakfast. I'm like, okay, let's go. I allow myself 15 minutes to cry in my milk.
Lick your wounds and
That's it. And then
rebuild.
Now it's time to go. Strap on the rebuild shoes and let's go.
So the beauty is in the rebuild.
The beauty's in the rebuild. And this rebuild started in early 2024.
Okay.
And so I'm excited now going into 2025 because we've laid such an incredible foundation.
Got you.
The rebuild has already started to gather momentum. We're already starting to have some
Yeah.
great success.
Yeah.
So 2025 will be either a break-even year or a pull-ahead year.
Oh. Well, whatever I can do to help, assist, do any of the light lifting, the hip, whatever I can do to be a blessing to you the way you've been to me, you got it.
Well, I appreciate that. And you're already doing probably the number one thing that you can do, which is allowing me to learn by sharing with you. Because whoever's doing the sharing and the teaching is the person who's learning the most. So I thank you for this opportunity to learn.
Wow. Well, folks, you hear it. We're going to do a part 2, the rebuild. But before we get out of here, I want to highlight our sponsors for 1 second. Slow Drip Texas. I want to thank you for sponsoring this
This is good, Slow Drip.
amazing podcast that we're coming back for part 2. Also want to highlight A1 Bar and Lounge, Cigar Bar and Lounge, I'm sorry, for allowing us in this beautiful establishment.
I got to give them a shout out.
We have to.
Because they filled a void in Houston. These boys filled a void that was here in Houston. There were a lot of cigar bars here, and cigar lounges, but they tend to be lacking soul or personality. These guys have the right combination, and a great place where you can smoke indoors, outdoors. They have a full bar, they have a full humidor, but that's also a fun environment. I actually live here and visit home.
That's facts. That's facts. I mean, just the ambiance of the place.
Oh yeah.
I know when we stepped in today, even the lighting, it you would think when you're walking in the daytime, it's like, ooh, it's a real sexy, like an old jazz club back in the old cigar lounge back in the day. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the spot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I had my birthday party here a few weeks ago.
Hey, it was amazing.
Yes, sir.
It was amazing. So, T. Gray, before we get out of here, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest place.
Okay.
My Instagram handle is tgraywins. Right? That's TGRAYWINS. And from there, you can find my website and contact information, etc.
Awesome. Well, T. Gray,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate it too.
Hey,
Thank you.
I really do. And ladies and gentlemen, clearly there's going to be a part 2 of this one. So With that being said, it's D McKnight. Cigars and coffee. Y'all be blessed.